Alright guys, welcome back. GM Light here. Today we're going to be talking about the last of the Insidious movies before the newest one, The Red Door. So today we're going to be talking about Insidious The Last Key. And this is not my favorite movie. By no means the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. There's definitely way worse movies out there. But it's just so aggressively generic, and it doesn't really do anything that the other movies haven't done and done better. If you didn't know, Insidious The Last Key is about when brilliant parapsychologist Elise Rayner receives a disturbing phone call from a man who claims that his house is haunted. Even more disturbing is the address, the home where Elise grew up as a child. Accompanied by her two investigative partners, Rainier travels to Five Keys to confront and destroy her greatest fear, the demon that she accidentally set free years earlier. So starting out with the positives, I actually think that the first 20 minutes of this movie, the flashback stuff in Elise's home from when she was a child, I think works pretty well actually. It's a good setup to the movie. It shows that it's going to be a more personal story and that a lot of what's going to happen is going to harken back to her childhood, what happened when she was a kid and her relationship with her family. Also helps that I love Josh Stewart. He's just a great actor. Also enjoy just getting a little bit more background and depth to Elise. You don't get to see that much of who she was the first two movies. You kind of get more of that in the third movie, and in this movie also kind of doubles down on that stuff. And I think that is some of the stronger parts of the movie when it's more story and character based, especially revolving around her. I also think that there are parts of the design for the creature that they're pretty decently scary. When it's the hand and stuff, I think the hand with the keys looks pretty creepy. There's some effective scares, It's scarier than the second movie, but by no means is this anything really terrifying. It feels a little bit overblown with what, the shit that's going on. And sometimes it just feels like there's too much going on, so you kind of get lost in that and don't even really feel the scares. Trying to stay on point with the positives, and because I'm not done yet with the positives. The movie doesn't take too many risks, but there is a pretty cool midway plot twist that I'd say I didn't see coming, and it changes the direction of the movie in a pretty significant way. And although it made the movie feel a little bit disjointed, I think it works, and it definitely improves it. Is something a little bit more memorable. The cast is great as always. Elise is always great. Two investigators, they're always funny, they're always great, they always add something new to the story. So pretty much all the returning characters are just as good and firing on all cylinders as they usually do. I also like that this kind of bookends at the point where it leads right up to where Insidious 1 takes place, so it kind of smartly, I think, decides to kind of end the franchise prequel type stuff there, because I think they knew that there's nothing else really to explore with Elise, and they knew that they can't just keep pumping out prequels, so it's like a snake eating its tail, this franchise right now, where it's just the first two movies happen, then the third movie happens, the fourth movie happens, leading right back up to the first movie, and I appreciated that it decided to leave things there. But going on to the negatives, like I mentioned, I just find this movie to be pretty forgettable, kind of generic. I don't think that it does anything offensively bad, but it also just doesn't do anything to really progress the story forward. Nothing that new and inventive that makes it stick out. I saw this movie for the first time, I think 5 years ago. I totally forgot it. Honestly, watching this movie, it felt like watching the movie for the first time, because I just didn't remember anything about it. With Insidious 3, I don't think that I had seen it since I saw it in theaters, but I felt like I remembered a whole lot more about it because there was a lot more worth remembering. It was a more entertaining, scary movie. It had more standout things that made it different, but I don't think this movie really has that, except for that midway plot twist, and even then it kind of cuts against it because it makes the first half feel really generic, and then it disjoints it a little bit, and then makes the last 40 minutes kind of just feel like a little bit of nothingness going on, because it totally has to shift gears, and now it's just a lot of shit happening, but you don't feel any emotional attachment to what's going on because it's just things happening. Even down to that, the movie on a visual level purely also kind of looks boring. It doesn't really have any visual flair to it. I mean, I've tried to look at this director and see what he's done. He's done a few notable things like The Taking of Deborah Logan and stuff, but it's not like James Wan and Lee Winnell where they clearly have visual styles, flares. They have a way of filling out a shot with interesting visuals. This, I did not feel that at all. Just kind of generic farmland setting and no distinct personality to the script or anything, or the movie itself. It kind of just feels like generic brand James Wan. This movie really doesn't have anything that I think pops, and that's my main problem with it, is because, again, it's just, like I said, it's not offensively bad, but it's just so mediocre. It kind of feels like another entry, just another one in the franchise. It feels like a hamster spinning in a wheel. It doesn't really progress anything forward. It's just kind of complacent, giving us the same thing. And it doesn't take the franchise to the next level by any means. Very run-of-the-mill, not groundbreaking, and the story kind of works in a way where you never really understand exactly why things are happening, which isn't a great thing. You feel an attachment to the characters and stuff, and you're kind of interested in that more human aspect of the story, but with the scares and stuff, it doesn't make me feel anything. It's my main problem with it. And the movie's not crazy long. I mean, it's pretty much the same exact runtime as the other movies. Like, they all kind of fall in that hour 45-minute range, but this movie kind of feels longer because it totally runs out of gas like halfway through it. And that just left me in a place where the last 45 minutes, I felt a little bit bored and unengaged in what's going on. Wish I had more to say about this movie. I wish I had more positive to say about it. I mean, you know, as far as worst entries in a franchise, this is far from the worst possible thing you could have going on. There's plenty of offensively bad horror sequels, and most horror franchises have one, at least, that's very bad. This movie doesn't have this, but it's just so unmemorable, and this movie is just ultimately very forgettable. I feel like also, if I watch this movie in another 5 years, it would also feel like a first-time watch again, because I'm not going to take it with me. I'm not going to remember it. But that's just my opinion. I know that this movie does have its fans, and like I said, it's by no means the worst thing ever. There's plenty of worse movies out there, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Tell me in the comment section, am I right? Am I off base with this? It's definitely my least favorite of the Insidious movies, but let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear you guys' opinion. I'm GM Light. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one.